Okay, welcome to this first tutorial for accessdbtut. This is a tutorial for the use of the accessibility support database developed by the WAI ACT project. This is a tutorial on the first beta of this system, and you can find the system online on this URL. The target audience of this tutorial is the accessibility expert or authors. It would be nice if you have already a W3C public user account so you can log in to the system. However, it is not prerequisite. Okay, we're going to see a short introduction on the objective of the system, a short introduction on the important notions of the system, and a walkthrough of the system. The objective of the system is to guide the selection of technologies during the development of accessible websites and web applications. And this is why individual authors are not able to do all of the testing necessary to determine which ways of using which web technologies are actually supported by which version of assistive technology and user agents. So we're developing a public repository of information on accessibility support in web technologies, employed with collaborative tools that facilitate public input and contribution. These need to be continually expanded with updated information, and the approach for this system is a service-oriented architecture approach with open data for reuse and repurpose. The primary target groups are web developers and evaluators that want to know how particular accessibility features are supported in specific web technologies, web accessibility experts and technology developers that want to publicly document information about accessibility support in specific situations, browser assisted technology and other web technology developers wanting to know how well their products support specific accessibility features. Let's consider two scenarios. First scenario, as a web developer wants to know in which combination of web browsers and assistive technologies a specific WAI area property is supported for a specific web technology such as HTML. And the second scenario, a web accessibility consultant wants to know how consistently a specific WAI ACT technique is supported across most web browsers and or assistive technologies. An important notion in this system is the test case. A test case for this specific system in the context of this project is an actual implementation of WAI ACT technique consisting of metadata and the test files themselves. The metadata consists of formal metadata like title, author, workflow information, the test requirement, which is a unique WAI ACT technique, a test procedure, it's a procedure with several steps and a yes/no evaluation question, and the test subject, which is a reference to the test files. The test files consist of the main test file, which is usually an HTML file, and the list of resources file, for example, images, CSS, JavaScript, etc. The test result. The test result is a specific result coming out of a testing session run by a user with a specific testing profile, which is a combination of browser, operating system, assistive technology, etc. The result is always a yes or no answer combined with a testing profile and a test case. So it seems important to need to take special care on the design while designing the test case. So the target of this tutorial is to guide the web accessibility expert on the reviewing and enhancing the automatically migrated tests coming from previous experimental databases. You will notice that there are a lot of data in the system now that is it's a bit messy because the mechanism of migrating this make a lot of guesses that often they don't work. However, the experts need to have a complete overview of the system so that they can do more effective work. So we're going to see a general overview of the system. So let's visit the website. This is the website, the URL, it's here, you can see. And we see three pages, the about page, the run test, and the view test. The about page is actually an introductory page with some promotion of the collaboration. We have the run test page, which it has some sub pages, and it's actually the procedure for doing several tests and giving the opportunity to submit them to the database. And the view test, which is under development, and it's a view of the test results. So let's search for this login. A login widget is there, but you don't have to log in. You don't have to log in if you want to do testing. You can do testing without logging. So for example, let's use this filtering. Let's say I want to do all the 131. Oops, sorry. So I apply the filter, I expand, and I select. You see here the selected test cases. I have selected 44 test cases and I can start testing. But first I need to set up my profile. There are some attributes that have already been identified by the system. I can edit this and start carry out the test. This is the most important page where for the expert, for the author, and they can see how the information and the metadata they will put into the test cases appear to the users, to the testers. So there is an ID of the test cases, which also identifies the technique. There is a title, description. Of course, there is a link to the test files. Here's the test files. It's the test procedure with a number of steps, the expected result, and the yes/no question the user has to answer. So the user is supposed to open this window and do the test, follow the procedure, and then answer to this yes/no question. So it can go through the tests, give the answers, and anytime, even if he hasn't finished all the tests, he can inspect the results, and if he wants, this is optional, he can submit the results either using an optional name, or he can log in and associate the test results with his account. So now for the experts need to have a user account and W3C account, and also need to have specific privilege to do the editing of the authoring of the test cases. So I will log in with my W3C account. And here you see two more pages. This is submit of tests and the edit test. These are similar. These are forms that we can add new test cases here. You can have the title, the text description, a creator, a single criteria, a technique, and then I can upload my main test file, which is usually in HTML, and one or more resources. Then I have the test procedure. In the test procedure I have several steps, the yes/no question, and the expected result. This is for adding a new test case, but now for editing the existing one you can use this filter. So for example, you can filter by the status. Now all the test cases initially have the unconfirmed status. You can say I want all the level A test cases, and you can start typing, and by age you specify that you want an HTML technique test file. You can see a list of test files, and then this is loaded in the form, so you can edit and update. Note that this field now is not available for change, because it does not make any sense. If this needs to be done, maybe the test case needs to be deleted and create a new one. And something important is for the test subject, if you want to keep the existing test files, you just ignore when you submit. Otherwise, if you want to override, you need to choose a file or one or more resource files, and then you do update, submit test unit, and this is updated. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. And let's just highlight that the design of these test cases is very important. So we need clear and not ambiguous questions. We need concrete procedure and workflow. Now please don't forget to set this from unconfirmed. After review, set this to a pending status. So thanks for listening and enjoy testing.